Greetings, you all. My name is JAG Chambers. I'm actually the Executive Director of Mass Liberation Project here at the Jorge Gomez trial. I want to say I'm holding space for day 4 this morning, just as intense as all the others. We had Officer Locher on the stand, basically running and ditching accountability. Everything was going wrong. The communications weren't working. His radio wasn't working. They were unprepared for the circus shooting. All of that, in my eyes, turned them into a killer squad on the hunt for what they believed was a cop killer. I felt like the judge was really intentional about running his courtroom. The jury has been phenomenal about being engaged. They asked nearly a dozen questions after the testifying of the first officer this morning. And I think one of the key components that came out, both officers this morning that have testified acknowledged on oath, on the record, that they had an obligation to protect our brother Jorge, and they didn't with that.
Hey y'all, so following up after Jagada just went, recapping the morning session, we're going to be calling it morning afternoon session. Afternoon session means after lunch when we went back. I'm just going to recap what happened as far as other officers' testimony. So today was an intense day in court. Very few smiles and laughs, and the confidence has diminished since the beginning of the trial. Very poor police performance, if you ask me. Nobody at all recalls Jorge falling, even though we have video evidence that he fell before he got up, grabbed his backpack, and ran and kept running. Officer Dan Emerton, he claims he saw someone running and there was dark figures from the court steps following him. In his first statement, he thought Jorge was shooting at the officers at the courthouse. So he fired 4 shots. At first, he fired 2 shots, the first volley of shots, and then paused. He shot another 2 shots, additional shots, which is the second volley of shots. Nobody made any commands to Jorge, including Dan. They claimed that they didn't see Jorge's hands. Dan also claims that he never seen Jorge's hands. He thought due to the circus shooting that the shots that were happening at the federal courthouse was an ambush on police officers, and he thought that Jorge was shooting at a cop. That's why Jorge was running, and Jorge pointed the gun in their direction. Video footage is contradicting that. Everything is contradicting that. So next up, we have Sergeant Ryan Fryman. Actually, let me not call him that anymore. He is no longer an officer. We found out that today in the courtroom. So out of all the officers, he was all over the place. He was real defensive, real nervous. He was over-explaining himself. He could not answer yes or no questions. The judge often intervened and had to stop him. He also fired 7 shots. Out of all the officers, he fired the most shots. However, he only recalled making 4 shots. After they examined his weapon and did a count of ammunition, he fired 7 in total. To this day, he does not recall shooting that many times. It was just very embarrassing to witness this. He quoted, "This was a very violent and painful shooting," out of his own mouth in his statement. 2 comments that kind of stood out to me was, he said he didn't leave cover because he had a responsibility to get home to his children. But what about Jorge getting back home to his family? Another comment, he said that he was, after the circus shooting, he was on his way. They had a mission, in his words, and he was going to save. The judge quickly cut him off. Save who? Save what? I don't know. But they were on a mission that night, and they killed Jorge Gomez. So I'm going to introduce my comrade Steph to talk about the testimony from Officer Silvia, as well as any expressions that the cops made today.
The testimony that Officer Nicholas Silvia made that day, he was present at the scene. He said that he saw Jorge Gomez walking slowly that night, but he did not see him shoot or even point his rifle at anyone. At all times, his rifle was on his right side, pointing down towards the ground, never pointed at anybody. The testimony of Brian Fryman, he made the rest of the defendants very visibly frustrated and nervous. You could tell because they were either very flustered, flushed, they kept looking down at all times. They kept covering their face while he was over-explaining himself.